Hi.
Morning.
My name's Stephanie Chirel. I'm a graduate student at the LBJ School of Public Affairs. My question is, how well do you think graduate programs in public affairs prepare future leaders in public service?
No comment. I'm kidding. Actually, at the graduate level, there are a number of great programs. UT, of course. But there are a number of ones. JFK School, the Woodrow Wilson School, Maxwell School at Syracuse. There are a number of programs that really do a good job and provide a very rigorous education. One thing that they do less and less of is actually encourage people to go into the public sector because many young people go into these schools no longer interested in the public sector. They want to get the degree, which they know is going to help them to go into consulting or go into finance or to go into different fields. And then that's fine. But for a lot of these programs, the Kennedy and the Wilson School, for example, were pioneers in this effort. They were built. I mean, the Woodrow Wilson School is in its charter. The whole point is to prepare people for public leadership, public sector leadership. They don't do that now. The percentage of graduates from those kinds of schools that go into public sector service now, it used to be 70%. It's now about a third. Okay, and that's happened over the last 25 years. Part of that is economics. You can earn a lot more, and if you have a lot more debt, it's a lot more tempting to go into a more lucrative field. But I think part of it is also cultural. We've lost a sense of civic obligation, the sense that if you have a degree from an institution of higher education, especially a graduate degree, then that entails a certain responsibility to give back. I think we now see higher education as a private good, something that's going to benefit me as an individual. It's like, ooh, I'll get my degree and then I can get a good job, make a lot of money, lead a good life. Whereas in the past, we used to see this as a privilege, as a collective good. That there's a, to quote TR again, that there's a moral responsibility, a moral duty on the man of higher education to do his service for his country. That people who had college degrees had a higher level of responsibility and service, to whom much is given, much is expected. And we've lost that in this sort of mad rush to wealth and individual advancement.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Stephanie Burns from Texas A&M University, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were on required volunteer hours. I know a lot of high schools and some colleges even require their students to complete a certain number of hours for graduation. Do you think that that's a good requirement, or does it take away from civic obligation? How do you feel?
It's one of those difficult things. I think with younger students, sure. When you're a parent or you're a teacher, that's your job, is to require kids to do things they don't want to do. And then over time, we've lost that. We've lost that understanding. That's what you're supposed to do. Say no to the kid, right? Anyway, but yeah. So requiring volunteerism at a young age can, over time, develop an ethic of service, which I think is very important. Of course, you don't want to go to the extreme where it's sort of like competitive volunteering, where it's just trying to do the things that are going to look best on a college application or on a resume. That becomes a problem. But I don't think that mandatory service is a bad idea at all. Just like I don't think mandatory math class is a bad idea at all, because we need kids to develop math skills, and we need kids to develop civic skills as well.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'm Joelle Furman. I attend Texas Tech University, and I know that each of the different branches of armed forces operate on core values, and they each have their own, and as far as I'm aware, the public service branches don't really have core values, but I was wondering if you were going to implement some in your academy, just kind of as inspirational motives for your students.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that is, again, part of what differentiates the military academies, is this idea that there are core values that we hold dear, duty, honor, country, that we should hold dear, and we absolutely want to implement those in a public service, so civilian context, because there's no reason in the world why duty, honor, country, for example, needs to be solely associated with the military. Those values are important for all of us. In fact, part of the reason I think that we have such trouble in our civilian public institutions is that we don't emphasize those core values, those patriotic values. They've almost become, I always use the word quaint because people think, oh, that's quaint and cheesy, it's old school, it's whatever. But that's the problem. We need to reinvigorate them. So absolutely, they would be at the center of a public service academy.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Tony Gil-McCulloch from UT El Paso. Earlier in your speech, you mentioned expectations in middle school and elementary school. I was wondering, what do you think about expectations in college? Do you think they need to be higher?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. When I went to Duke, she asked about expectations in college. Does having high expectations matter in college? Absolutely. I think one of the saddest things that's happened in higher education, and there may not have ever been a golden era, but I sort of feel like the standards have deteriorated, again, because we're just not willing to hold people to account. That we figure, oh, these kids are now 18 years old, they're adults, we can't really tell them what to do, or we can't really expect them to do this, they're kind of going to do their own thing anyway. And I disagree with that. I think that we can and should expect students to come to class, be on time, do the reading. It should be basic. And if you don't, well, you fail. I don't think it's rocket science. And so I think that a lot of colleges, because, and it's related to this transformation of college education from being a public good into a private good, what's happened is that colleges now see you and other students as a customer. And the customer's always right. Customer has to be appeased, because if the customer's not happy, customer won't pay tuition, right? And that's a problem. And so instead of holding you to high standards and saying, you've got to clear this bar, we're going to really push you and push you and push you, they say, well, okay, you can't meet this bar. Well, how about this one? Oh, no, how about this one? Will you please come to class? And it's a never-ending spiral. And they'll say, well, we've got 20 entrees in the cafeteria for you, all cooked by a gourmet chef. And you say, well, I want 21. So they go, well, here's 25. And you say, I want 26. There's no end to that. And I think what the military academies do, and what we want the Public Service Academy to do, is to get away from that mentality and say, what you are doing is learning to become a leader for this country, and we have to put you through the fire in order for that to happen. We are not going to cater to your whims. We are not going to pamper you. We are going to hold you to high expectations. So that's a long way of answering your question, to say yes, they should.
I agree. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So before we thank Dr. Asch, he's much too couth, of course, to go on the stump here, but if the U.S. Public Service Academy sounds like something you might be interested in helping to build, please visit their website or talk to Chris and Sean afterwards, because there's plenty of ways that you can help. It's still not a reality yet, so thank you.
Amen.